Chair recognizes that the Lenoir County Board of Education has established a quorum and calls the January 8th, 2024 regular monthly meeting to order. Chair recognizes Mr. Nick Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. May the words spoken in this room tonight be beneficial to the students, parents, staff, and administrators in our school system. And may we be led by the guiding principle to always base our decisions on the best interests of our young people. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Brent Williams to present the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my honor and privilege to present to you, the members of the board, for your consideration and hopefully your approval tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the agenda? Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Outlaw. We've got a motion by Mr. Woods and a second by Dr. Outlaw to approve the board agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. The agenda is set for tonight. Okay, at this time, we normally recognize our elected officials, and I see that Mr. Preston Harrison is with us tonight, County Commissioner. We appreciate you being with us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. And also I'd like to take this opportunity that if you were not aware, at the County Commissioner meeting last Monday, I believe it was, the school board went before the county commissioners and asked for support for a grant for E.B. Frank Middle School, and we did receive, it was a unanimous vote. We got full support from the county commissioners to move forward with the grant for E.B. Middle School. And we'd like to thank the county commissioners for that.
And we submitted that grant on Thursday. We got it in one day early, so we should hear something in a month or so. We're really excited.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, we want to continue to thank all the Lenoir County Public School employees for their outstanding dedication, commitment, and hard work to ensure all Lenoir County Public School students are as successful as possible. We want to continue to commit to providing for a safe and healthy environment for all students, employees, and our community. We want to welcome back everyone to school. We hope everyone had a happy and safe holiday, and were able to spend time with family and friends. And as also Mr. Williams will share more good news about Lenoir County Public School students and staff. And with that, Chair recognizes Mr. Brent Williams to present the following honors, recognitions, and accomplishments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before that, I would like to just make sure all board members know something that happened this afternoon because of we joined literally every county in our area and in eastern North Carolina with modifying the school system schedule. Emergency management made the recommendation that we close at noon tomorrow for students and staff members, and we've done that in anticipation of the high winds and the weather coming in. They're saying dangerous weather will be in our area, high winds, high wind gusts on saturated ground, and problems with trees and power lines and things like that, sustained winds with buses on the road, possibly in excess of 35, 40 miles per hour. So because of that, we did take their recommendation and are closing at noon tomorrow. And we're sending a message to parents tonight, right now at 6 p.m. That message is going out, and we announced it on social media platforms this afternoon, but I just want to make sure that you all were aware as well. And I sent the message to you, but I didn't know if you'd seen the email yet, so I wanted to share that. Also, some very sad news from this week, Thursday afternoon. The greatest tragedy that any school system can have, losing a student. Please keep Woodington Middle School in your thoughts, and keep the family of our student who was lost there and died on Thursday afternoon. Please keep the family in your thoughts, and if you're so inclined, in your prayers. More information to come on that. I talked to Mr. Philippi this afternoon, and the parents are talking, and we should have some more information for you tomorrow. The team came together. Their crisis team was at Woodington on Friday and again today. So I want to thank our counselors and our social workers and everybody who comes together. I'm always uplifted by how the school system team comes together and supports each other and lifts each other up with their words and more important with their actions. And that certainly has been the case in this situation, continues to be as we go through this crisis. And very thankful for them, so thank them. We hope everybody had a great holiday season, wonderful Christmas, and a happy new year so far. We've gotten off to a strong start in coming in and starting Thursday of last week. Our high schools have started basically a new school year with new classes and new assignments and all that, and they're hard at it. And the rest of our students have a second semester filled with new challenges and new learning, and our teachers are doing a great job out there with our students. And so we want to commend all of our school staff members. It takes that whole village, that whole team, and they're doing an amazing job in working with our kids. So we're very pleased with them and what they're doing. I am convinced we plan for the 2023-2024 school year, of course. But in starting the new calendar year, this is that time of year when people are looking at affirmations and resolutions, resolving to do things. I want us to resolve to continue to level up and continue to go forward and continue to excel. Tonight you'll hear about our teachers and what they're doing. You'll hear about the growth in our schools, and you'll hear about our teachers. We currently are on pace to have more grant dollars earned by our teachers from many grants that they have made happen than at any other point in the history of our school system if we continue on this current pace. Last year was an all-time high. 2 years before that was an all-time high, and we're back on track now and should be the highest number of scholarship mini grant dollars that we've ever had. Also last year, as you know, was the highest number of scholarship dollars our students have earned, and we're on pace with that again as well. So very pleased with that. The Department of Public Instruction has presented 11 schools with graduation and growth certificates for the 2022-2023 school year. Whether for academic growth or graduation rate, these certificates represent an impressive amount of hard work by students and educators. First, I would like to bring forward Mr. Steve Sainaman, and Mr. Sainaman, if you have any staff members here from Lenoir County Early College High School here as well. We were out there today and we were looking at, we were honoring one of their teachers that I'll mention in just a second, Miss Belinda McGinnis. She was honored, she is being honored by the NCASCD, the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development of North Carolina, as Outstanding Young Educator. She does an outstanding job. We were out there for a little program they had for her today at 11:30, and we just got that. That was a surprise tour, surprise announcement, and on February 2nd, she'll be honored in Pinehurst at a program that they are having, their state conference. So we're really pleased with her. But I'd like Mr. Sainaman to come forward, and Lenoir County Early College High School will be honored for academic growth. But this is a special certificate. Lenoir County Early College High School, outstanding graduation rate of 97.6%. Mr. Sainaman was showing us today, and Dr. Travis Talent out there, they were showing us the entrepreneurship, congratulations, the entrepreneurship program they have with teaching kids, and they're taking kids and they're taking them to Raleigh and they're taking them to other places, learning about starting businesses. So they've actually started their own business there in the school. And they have a CEO and an assistant manager, and they have HR and all the problems that can come with HR and all that stuff. And it was funny when we were out there, the kids were telling us things that they had learned the last visit we did about how managing people can be tough and managing a budget, staying within the constraints of a budget. So our kids are learning real world, folks. And that's very rewarding for me as school system leader to see that, and I commend them and what they're doing. So Mr. Sainaman, congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to call our NC Academic Growth Schools: Banks Elementary School, E.B. Frank Middle School, LaGrange Elementary School, Lenoir County Early College High School again, Moss Hill Elementary School, Northeast Elementary School, Northwest Elementary School, Rochelle Middle School, Southwood Elementary School, and Whittington Middle School. Congratulations, sir. Proud of you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Dr. Minden. Congratulations, sir. Proud of you. Congratulations, sir. Proud of you. Congratulations. Proud of you. Congratulations, Doc. Proud of you. And congratulations. Folks, I'm proud of this team. Year in, year out, integrate assessment. They don't get any easier, and it's been certainly more challenging since the pandemic, and so much was missed during that time. And they're in the business of catching kids up every day and pushing forward and not embracing excuses, but really making it happen every day with their teachers and other staff members. So all of these schools met academic growth for this year and are being honored by the UPI. So let's give them a round of applause.
Hey,
Are you going to allow us to reach out? I thought you normally.
well, then I couldn't see their certificates. We're gonna try this.
Carry on.
You don't need to be in the picture, do you?
No. I'm good. Mr. Kermit's got it.
All right. One, two, one more. One, two. There you go. Thank you.
I have one more school that I'd like to call forward. I'd like Ms. Leanne Hardy from Pink Hill Elementary to come forward. Pink Hill has exceeded academic growth. Not only met, but exceeded. Congratulations, Ms. Hardy.
Thank you. Go for it. One, two, three, one more. One, two. Thank you.
Tonight we are celebrating, among other accomplishments, the outstanding achievements of our teachers in competing and winning grant awards in their classrooms for local, regional, and state levels. Thanks to the community support and record-setting fundraising by the Lenoir County Education Foundation and the Lenoir County Chamber of Commerce, nearly $37,000 in Education Foundation mini-grants were awarded to teachers at 14 schools last month. The 69 grant awards will fund purchases and projects affecting students in nearly 130 classrooms. Winners of the 2023 mini grants by school were, and I want to thank the members of the Ed Foundation through the Chamber of Commerce. The Education Foundation members took their entire day and we went around to each of these schools and did a prize patrol, sort of like Publishers Clearinghouse used to do, with balloons, and presented these awards to these teachers. Very proud of them. First of all, Moss Hill Elementary School, Kayla Harris, the team of Casey Carlson, Lindsay Howard, Sarah Hughes, and Irish Williams, Sharon Dellinger, and Catherine Lynch. Congratulations to them. Contentney of Savannah K-8 School, Mary Riddick, the team of Meredith Criswell, Deanna Jenkins, Katie McCarter, Melissa Manning, and Jaleisha Crawford, the team of Tracy Rayner and Diane Tillman, the team of Annie Carnegie and Katie McCarter, Stephanie Paris, Kristen Taylor, Chanel Williams, Jessie Vancura, Stephanie Perry Bradshaw, the team of Adrienne Edwards, Tova Marks, Abigail Hendricks, Joshua Dawson, and Deborah Holmes. Congratulations to our teachers. Southwood Elementary School, Christopher Judy. Congratulations to Mr. Judy. LaGrange Elementary School, Alicia Davis, Davida Sutton, Jessica Miller, Kelsey Gray, Turner, David Miles, the team of Catherine Sowers, Kelsey Gray Turner, Deshauna Ingram, Jesse Stanley, the team of Jamie Moore, Janice Johnson, Zach Fritz, Georgia Tingen, and Pam Creech, the team of Sarah Winnie, Kiara Rouse, Emily Daniels, and Stephanie Davis. Congratulations to LaGrange teachers. Northwest Elementary School teachers, Cassandra Aldana, April Modlin, Caitlin Stroud, the team of Jessica Avery, Sarah Caraway, Casey Hart, and Jessica Perry, the team of Aaron Green, Emily Tribula, and Ashley Stevens, the team of Karen Kroon, Stephanie Moore, Amber Falk, and Leah Jones. Congratulations, Northwest. Pink Hill Elementary, Melissa Boone, Jennifer McLaughlin, Walter Upthgrove, Allison Whitfield, Madison Byer, Howard, Chanella Roberts, Betsy Mercer, Brianna Tyndall, Aaron Murdoch, Kelly Bloom, Leanne Hall, Katie Beth Hill, Sherry Grubbs, Brenda Griffin, and Jean Turner. Congratulations to the Pink Hill team. Banks Elementary, Austin Reese, Bobby J. Khalid, and Wheel Sawyer. Congratulations, Banks. Woodington Middle School, Monica Johnson, James Robert Blake, Majesty McPhail, Melody Sally, Jawanda Waters, the team of Wendy Williams and Ben Daniels, Kara Howard, Caroline Sudreth, the team of Tracy Howard and Anna Rouse, Jessica Jones, Brian Potter, Shannon Jones, Selena Show, the team of Haley Quarles and Emily Hunter, Madeline Coates, Amelia Swimby. Congratulations, Whittington. E.B. Frank Middle School, Pamela S. Pate, Vicky Newberry, the team of Francis Bryant and Danica Sutton, Christy Hyde, and Elizabeth Ham. Lenore County Early College High School, Portia Bell and Dr. Travis Tam. Congratulations, Early College. South Lenore High School, Marietta Floyd, Ryan Gardner, and Raymond Jones. Congratulations, South Lenore. Kinston High School, Jessica Powell, Crystal Peyton Demery, Prashonda Daniels, and Sabrina Foray. Congratulations, Kinston High. North Lenore High School, Brandy Stalling, Samantha Newcomb, Ashley Holland, the team of Heather Kennedy and Jennifer Ginn, Treva Romig, Molly Feazor, Kimberly Chapman, and Joshua Wallace. Congratulations, North Lenore. Lenore County Learning Academy, Tracy Newkirk and Elizabeth Moon. Three of our teachers, congratulations to all of our teachers. Three of our teachers won Bright Ideas in the statewide competition. Now, last month we told you about the local competition. Three of our teachers have won at the state level. That together are worth $4,300. Congratulations to April Modlin and Caitlin Stroud of Northwest Elementary School and Jessica Powell of Kinston High School statewide Bright Ideas winners. 5 LCPS teachers collected more than $1,900 for classroom projects as winners in the Ag in the Classroom grants provided by the North Carolina Farm Bureau. LCPS winners were Alicia Davis and Catherine Sowers of LaGrange Elementary School, Bobby Khalid of Banks Elementary School, Laura Stewart of Southwood Elementary School, and Molly Feazor of LaGrange Elementary School. In 2023 grant cycle, Ag in the Classroom grants valued at more than $28,000 went to 63 teachers in 4 counties. No school district in North Carolina won as many grants as Lenore County Public Schools for this program. Very proud of that. 2 LCPS teachers were winners in the 2023 gardening grants from the Lenore County Extension Master Gardener Volunteer Association. Ruby Blancas, a 3rd grade teacher at Northeast Elementary School, and Brenda Griffin, a 4th grade teacher at Pink Hill Elementary School, won $300 grants designed to involve students in growing plants and analyzing the process. Congratulations to all of our grant winners. Now, that's a dizzying array of grants, but our teachers made that happen through their efforts. This money did not exist prior to their value-added contributions, and we're very thankful for them because all of this, 100% of those dollars, go to increasing opportunities for our kids. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Williams? Any comments? Thank you, Mr. Williams, for those announcements. And as I've said before, still amazing examples, more examples of the amazing things happening in the Lenore County Public Schools. All right, Mrs. Taylor, anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you, ma'am. So we will now move to the presentation portion of the agenda. The first item under the presentation portion of the agenda is to conduct interviews for the vacancy created by the resignation of board member Mr. Keith King. We have two individuals who have expressed interest in filling Mr. King's seat until November 2024. The applicants will have 5 minutes each to present themselves to the board. The board will have 5 minutes to ask each applicant questions. We would like to thank the two applicants for their time and interest in serving the students of Lenore County Public School System. Now, Chair will recognize Mrs. Carolyn Merchant to further explain the process.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was not at the last meeting, so I apologize if I'm repetitive of anything I said, but for the purpose of in the benefit of the public, I just wanted to let everyone know that in order to, whenever there is a vacancy by a board member from a resignation or any other purpose, it's the board's duty to appoint a member until the next board election cycle. The vacancy created by Mr. Keith is in District 2. That seat is up for election in November of 2026. However, the next board election cycle is next November of this year, November 2024. So the appointment that the board makes will only be until November of 2024. And then the seat will be filled by election in that to fill out the remainder of that term until November of 2026. Candidates that the board can appoint all need to be of the same political party as Mr. Keith, that is Republicans, so we need to have Republicans, and they must have resided in District 2 for a minimum of 30 days, and then there's other general requirements as well. I understand that we have two candidates that meet that criteria, that have been certified as meeting that criteria, and at the last board meeting, I believe you all voted and approved a process that would include a 5-minute presentation for each candidate, followed by a 5-minute Q&A by board members, and that you all have a special called meeting on January 16th to make a decision at that time. One aspect, I think this may have been discussed, but it wasn't part of the motion. It's our recommendation that the vote that you take next Tuesday be by written ballot, so every board member would have a ballot in front of them that has both candidates' names, that you would vote on, sign those ballots, and those would then be tallied by the chair in the public forum, and if there's a vote for someone that has 4 votes at that time, then they would be designated as the winner. And I would recommend, if that process is accepted to all, that you make a motion tonight as to that would be how you would vote on it, and then we can get started with the presentations.
Okay, is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the voting process? Yes, Mr. Smith.
Can you say that one more time? I missed part of it.
On the voting process?
Yes, the last thing you said. About
Right, and
coming
this
back.
is the same process you used last time, but you
Right.
did have more candidates last time.
Right.
So each board member would receive a written ballot that has the name of the 2 candidates on it. The board members would select the candidate of their choice, sign that ballot, submit those ballots. At that time, they would be tallied. And if there is a majority of the board, or one of the candidates gets a majority of the board vote at that time, then that candidate is selected.
Okay, and we get 5 minutes each was what we said to ask questions.
The motion itself was 5 minutes for presentation, and then a total of a 5-minute of Q&A by the board members.
So now, I'm sorry, 5 minutes for the presentation, 5 minutes for questions. A total of 10 minutes per applicant.
Wait a minute.
No,
No,
5
no.
minutes as a collective group to ask questions.
5 minutes for questions.
5 minutes each, is that right?
Sorry.
5 minutes each person? Is that what we said?
So if, correct me, Mrs. Murchison, if I'm wrong. So the 2 candidates will present themselves tonight to the board, and they'll have 5 minutes to make a presentation. And then, after that, the board, as a group, will have 5 minutes to ask questions, correct?
So as I came in, I reviewed the video from the meeting before, and that was the motion that was made.
Okay.
If you all want a different process, you can make a motion to amend that process, and that can be amended by majority vote, or supermajority vote.
Okay.
So if there's a concern that that's not sufficient time, you can make a motion at this time to alter that process.
Yeah, because what I'm hearing is 5 minutes for everybody, That's not sufficient time. We need to alter that motion.
Okay, so it's the pleasure of the board. We're gonna start with the time first.
We discussed this in depth at the last meeting and all agreed on 5 minutes for the candidate to present themselves and then 5 minutes of open dialogue discussion as a group so that we would not stay in here all night long.
Okay, I missed the group part of that 5 minutes. Okay. That's what I missed.
Okay, so is everybody good with a total of 10 minutes per candidate, per hour?
Yeah, that's what we
Okay.
said. Let's
So
do
we're
it.
good on that, okay.
Okay.
Now you wanna,
To clarify, because again, I wasn't here, so I wasn't part of that discussion, but typically, when there's questions that are asked, board members, the process under parliamentary procedure is that each board member would need to be recognized by Mr. Hill. So if anyone has so once the 5 minutes are up, Mr. Hill would open the floor to ask if there's any board member who has a question, and then would individually recognize each one of you to ask whatever questions you may have until that 5 minutes is up.
Okay, that's fine.
okay, so we're good with that part of the process?
Yeah,
So
we good.
you were asking, inquiring about the voting,
The
correct?
voting,
So-
the process for selecting the candidate next
So is
Tuesday.
there a motion or recommendation pertaining to the voting at the next special call meeting next Tuesday?
Move to adopt the process that Ms. Murchison described.
Okay, that's a motion by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Anderson. Okay, so we got a motion by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Anderson to have written ballots
Yes,
at
sir.
our special call meeting next Tuesday night to fill the seat for Mr. King. All right?
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Everyone clear? All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. We will have the written ballots next Tuesday. Okay? Now, did you have anything else, Mrs. Murchison, you wanted to clarify?
I don't think so. That's all that I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and as Mrs. Murchison suggests, recommend, if you would, when we get to the question portion of the interview, if you would ask to be recognized, and whoever, wants to be recognized to ask the question can ask the question. We want to give every member an opportunity to ask at least one question. So if you've asked a question, and then everybody's had an opportunity, if you have another question, you can ask a second question. But we want to give everybody an opportunity first to ask one question. Okay? Mrs. Murchison, so last time I think you just arbitrarily called the candidates up. So,
So if Mr. Steve Roman could approach? And Ms. Roman, I'll be your timekeeper, so when you get to about 4 minutes, if you're still talking, I'll kind of try to get your attention, let you know you have about 1 minute left.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Steve Roman. I graduated from North Lenore High School, so I've been in the public school. I have 2 children who have gone from kindergarten to 12th grade in Lenore County Public School. I am married to Lori Roman. We've been married for 34 years. I am currently a Triple P, which stands for Positive Parenting Program Regional Coordinator, in which I help parents when they parent when they need help with problems that their children may be having. And I do that in 10 counties. I do that for Lenore, Greene, Jones, Pitt, Beaufort, Hyde, Wayne, Craven, Carteret, and Pamlico counties. And I currently have some programs in Lenore County school system. I work closely with Kalia Livingston, the social worker at Frink and North Lenore, and we are currently working on absenteeism as one of the problems that is coming up and needs to be dealt with. I also have worked at Sampson School through a grant that Mr. Anderson got, and I went into Sampson School and was doing some prevention work and working with the teachers there and working with the students to have less people suspended, let students suspended, and to have, help them build ideas and let them see goals that are suitable for themselves and things that are achievable. I also, I attend 902 Church, and I'm an elder at the church. I am currently the chairman of the LICC for Lenoir County, which is Local Interagency Coordinating Council. I am on the NC Pre-K board. I'm on the Safe Kids board. I serve on the DNC, the Disproportionate Minority Contact, and I work with them through the police department. And I currently am also working with the, I also was a founding member of Big Brothers Big Sisters and served on that board for many years. I was also a founding member of SAFE in Lenoir County, the Shelter for Abused Women. SAFE. I currently am working with several different school districts now and trying to help them implement different programs dealing with the parents, because I'm trying to get a lot of parent participation. I think that's where the key comes from. Instead of blaming the teachers, I think it's important to have a joint venture with the teachers, with the parents, with the school, with the staff. I worked with Mr. Harvey before COVID, and we had an excellent program going where, in order to reduce dropout rates and suspension rates, we had a program, 8-week program set up where I would work with the parents and help them with the parenting, and we also had a prevention program set up working with the children who were referred for, that were going to be suspended, and that way we had those classes going on at the same time. And so I worked with the parents, and then we had a prevention educator specialist that came in and did the classes with the youth. And it was very, very successful, reduced dropout. It did help the dropout rate. It did help drop the suspension rate. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's Mr. Roman's presentation to the board. Now we'll have the questions by board members. So, okay, Dr. I'll start this.
Sure, very impressive, sir, what I heard. I just do have one small question at first. You talked about you were working or currently assisting with implementing a program with the social worker at North Lenoir, I think it was, to combat absenteeism. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. I used to work with Kalia Livingston with my, I didn't work at DSS, but I worked through DSS where she was at as a social worker. Now she's a social worker at Frink and at North Lenoir. Yeah. And I've been helping her. We've had a lot of many parents that are now being taken to court because their children aren't attending school. And so she brought that to me, and then I've been referred from court several parents that I have to work with and ensure that they're following the court orders. And so we have come up with a plan, and we have submitted a written plan. We got together and made it up, and it's been submitted to the central office for approval. And it's just it's a step process of what every student would go through. It's a step of when they miss this many days, what's going to happen. When they miss this many days, what happens. This many days, trying to keep the parent out of court and trying to help promote unity between the school and the parent, and as well as helping the parent control their child and get them to attend to kind of stop missing school.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question, Mr. Roman. What do you believe are the primary responsibilities of a school board member?
I think the primary responsibilities of the school board member are to help develop policies that best support the needs in this community as far as what's going on in the school system, to work closely with the Mr. Williams, you know, the central office staff. I think it's important to make relationships with parents. I think that's part of a school board's job, whether you have a child in school or not. I think it's important for a school board member to pay attention to what's going on in the schools. I think it's important to recognize and affirm, and when teachers are doing well and when any staff is doing well, that you recognize them. And if you see someone who is struggling, that you support them and help the superintendent come up with ideas and plans that's going to be best for the entire district, and not just certain areas, but the entire district.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Roman, thank you for being here. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, if the board doesn't vote in a manner which reflects your convictions on an issue, would you be willing to support the majority vote?
I would be willing to support the majority of the vote. I would certainly vote my own, the things that I was taught, being raised, things that make me who I am. I would vote according to that. However, I would not go out, and if the board voted it differently than what I wanted, I would not be out targeting other board members. I would not be out bad-mouthing the board. I would be part of the support system, find something that's in common, work together on that, and then hopefully make changes eventually of things that could work together.
Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Cash.
Mr. Roman, do you see being a board member as a long-term commitment, or are you just looking to fill the vacancy that we have now and then decide, you know, at another point in time if you want to continue on? Is this a long-term commitment for you?
This, I would say yes, and I would say no, because I've not served on the board before, and I'm not exactly sure what all it's going to entail, what all it's going to require, and if I'm, you know, the best qualified person for that job. If I am, if I feel that, if I feel like the board supports me and I support the board, and it's an agreement, you know, that I'm a good fit for this board, then yes, I would continue to seek serving on the board.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
I have one. Mr. Roman, thanks again for your interest. In your letter, you stated that you wanted to help the board in developing policies that further the children in Little County. My question to you is, do you see a difference between establishing policies and school-based rules?
The policies to me would be something that would be school system wide. And then from there, the making the, what you just called it, policies and rules. The rules then would come under each school, which is working with a different population. There's a difference in populations in every school. And so as long as the policies are being followed, you know, why hold back someone who has great ideas on how to do something really well for their school and the children that are in that school? So I think they're twofold there. One is what the school comes together and does, like we just saw recently up here, the awards, versus policy of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable by the board.
Mr. Roman, I had one question. On your dropout rate reduction, do you reapply to all the schools or just work in certain schools?
For the which now?
Reduction in absenteeism.
That is actually something that we are working with. Oh, you said absenteeism, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that is with every school. I have Right now, I have one family that has one child in elementary school, one child in middle school, and one child in high school.
So you reapplying, okay.
And they're missing school without reason other than the parent is not insisting they go to school. So I am working every age, any child that has that kind of problem. I just think it's really important to work with the parent, to help the parent because it's not the school's responsibility to raise a child.
Okay, that's our 5 minute.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Roman. We appreciate you coming in, you're applying and expressing interest in serving the kids of Lenore County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
We'll now hear from Mr. John Wiggins.
Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight and to share a little bit about myself, and I look forward to answering your questions. As far as my background, I am a graduate of Greene Central High School. Please do not hold that against me. But I was smart enough to marry a young lady from here in Lenore County, and she insisted I establish my roots here. After graduating high school, I joined the Air Force and enjoyed that tremendously, but we did want to come back home. I transitioned to the Air Force Reserves, served there for several years, and then I was employed at the Goldsboro Police Department. Enjoyed it. It was a great job. I was able to obtain my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then was offered a position at the North Carolina Department of Justice, Justice Academy, to instruct there in various investigative courses. So after I left the police department and went to the Justice Academy, again, wonderful career there, outstanding job, learned a great deal instructing adults, which I do understand is quite a bit different from children. And I had a call to ministry, and I had 5 years to go until I could retire, and that just wasn't working. So I was very fortunate to be able to buy back my 5 years of active duty time, apply it to my state retirement, and retire. And then I attended Campbell University Divinity School and graduated from there with a Master of Divinity degree. I have, over the years, prior to becoming the pastor at LaGrange First Missionary Baptist Church, I've always been very involved in our community. I started many years ago coaching Little League Baseball, football, serving on the LaGrange Recreation Association board, serving as the president of that board over the years, coaching baseball all the way up through the kids going to high school, actually, and absolutely love that. I started an organization along with another local pastor in LaGrange, Ravon Ravenel, and that organization is called Change for LaGrange, and we started it the focus was to improve race relations in the town of LaGrange and to provide opportunities for youth. And so we worked very hard on that for several years. I'm now the past president of the organization. During my time with Change for LaGrange and at our church, we have tried our best, or I've tried my best, to help the local children there. They are unfortunately a lot of children who just do not have the means, their parents don't have the means to provide what is always needed for school. So each year we have held a backpack ministry. At the beginning of each school year, we typically provide backpacks for anywhere from 100 to close to 200 children each year. We also have a food pantry that we do in LaGrange, and I coordinate with our elementary school to provide that food pantry throughout the whole school year so that children can have food to take home on the weekends. Also make that available at Frank and North Lenore. So those are a lot of the things that I've been able to do, really enjoy doing, as well as providing Christmas each year for, on average, about 44 children in our school district. So that's kind of the background on me, some of the things I've been involved in and doing and enjoy. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. So now we will start with the question portion. Mr. Woods.
In your bio, I read that you had some concerns about discipline and safety in the classroom. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, sir. I've had the opportunity to serve as a substitute teacher in our school system. And it was quite interesting, to say the least, as far as the discipline that I saw in the classrooms. And it's not just about the children, it's everybody is involved. The parents are responsible, the children are responsible, and the teachers have got to deal with so much. And one of the things I would really love to do is try to figure out some policy that could be implemented to help our teachers to feel empowered to do their jobs comfortably, safely, and to support the parents as well. Because without their focus, I know with my child, one of my children, I've had 4 sons and a foster son to go through Lenore County Schools. And I got a call from one of my teachers about my son, my oldest son, cutting up in class at North Lenore. And it was the second call. Apparently he did not believe that him as a high school student, that I wouldn't go out to the high school and sit in class with him all day. He found out I was serious about it. The teacher appreciated it, and she had 0 problems with him the rest of the school year. Things like that I think parents can do to help out a teacher a whole lot.
Yes, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Wiggins,
Yes, sir.
piggybacking off of that question there. As a board member, what's the difference in establishing policies that affect effective classroom, an effective classroom environment versus rules to help facilitate an effective learning environment? The board policies versus rules.
Okay. The policy has got to be consistent throughout the whole district. If it's not consistent and enforced from the top down, from the superintendent and the board members who are willing to stand up and stand beside him, whether there's controversy or not, that will make it a lot easier to weather the storm when we weather the storm together. But if we don't have unity and don't have support, then the policies, they're not going to mean a whole lot if they're not enforced equally among all people.
Dr. Allo.
So to kind of, because it seems like Mr. Wiggins, in your letter to us, which was very nice, by the way, thank you, and also, I wanted to ask you, since it seems like your background is safety, what ideas do you might you have to make our schools and students feel, and staff especially, feel safer? Do you have any ideas about how to make the schools safer in our districts as a whole?
It would depend on how much money you would give me. But in general, the presence of your school resource officers has a big impact on the young men and women at our schools. The temperament of those SROs have a very significant impact on the safety of those young men and women, especially in your middle school and high school age. That's, to me, the visibility is the biggest thing. The more you have, normally, the better it is. But as far as, are you talking about safety that the children feel? Or are we talking about safety that the teachers feel? Or are we talking about safety of the whole campus, as far as, that's a whole different type of security. So there's a bunch of different levels to look at there.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we want to go into the whole aspect all at one time. And economically, can that be done? In many cases, no, it can't. So you have to kind of figure out what's the priority and then look at steps to get to the whole during the process.
Thank you.
Mrs. Marcy,
You've reached your 5 minutes.
that's 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
get my question.
Okay. So Mr. Smith has a question he'd like to ask.
I think a board member can make a motion to extend the time to allow that question.
Would you extend this time?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Got a motion and a second to extend time. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Ms. Smith.
Again, Mr. Wiggins, thank you for your interest in the Monroe County Board of Education. My question is, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a school board?
I think the major focus is to support, encourage, and to provide guidance to our superintendent. Has a large staff. We're part of the community. We have the ear of the community. Every district, I would imagine, is visiting their schools. They're going to events. They're getting input from parents about their concerns, their desires. And I feel like I would need to provide that information to Mr. Williams as he is doing his planning process, whether it's, immediate actions, intermediate, or distant future, to work towards, making this the best school district as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I can't. Sorry.
Yes, I do have a question, sorry.
Okay, Ms. Adams. Sir?
How do you plan to make yourself transparent to the community and gain the trust of the community in you if you are chosen to be our newest board member?
Well, I'm quite involved in my community right now as far as like the Banks, LaGrange, North Lenore, Frink area. I'm out and about all the time, and I am invited quite frequently to many different events, and I normally try to attend as many of them as I possibly can. And to be honest with you, I feel like people are they realize I'm kind of straight shooter kind of guy. I mean, I believe in speaking my mind, but in love as much as possible. So I think that's the reputation I have around my district.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll ask one final question. Mr. Wilson, what would you do to prepare yourself to be an effective board member?
Well, that's a lifetime event. It's from everything I've done that's made me who I am today. You know, everything that I have shared with y'all, every experience, every opportunity to serve. To me, this is service. You know, there's no benefit like things that I'm looking for myself. This is an opportunity, another opportunity for me to serve the people of my community. And so as far as to prepare, it's every job I've held, it's every volunteer aspect I've ever done, it's every school I've ever attended, certificate or, you know, diploma I've obtained. I have participated in school when my kids were in school, and I participated in school activities when my children have never been there for many years after they left. That's what I've done to prepare to serve this community and to serve this board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wood. That concludes the question session. We appreciate you
Sir.
in applying and expressing interest and willing to serve the children of Lenore County. So as Mrs. Murchison outlined, we will have a special call meeting next Tuesday, the regular time, and we will vote and decide on an applicant to fill Mr. King's seat. Okay, Chair recognizes Mrs. Frances Herring to present the 2024-2025 instructional calendar proposal.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to airplay the presentation, but until it responds, we'll just go through it together. You have the presentation uploaded in Word docs. And you'll notice at your seat, I also provided you the copies of the three options, calendar option A, B, and C that the schools and the departments considered. I do want to remind you that we had calendar committee meetings November 16th and November 30th, composed of representatives from all 17 schools and each department. So we had over 20 members of the committee participate in the selection of the calendar. The first meeting resulted in lots of suggestions and recommendations in the options that were presented, and we came back together November 30th. Oh, is that you? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. November 30th, and agreed on the three final options that we would share with the schools. The voting occurred during the month of December, and the final votes were due December 15th. And we had an overall staggering winner. We'll probably go to the very end. We gave you the vote breakdown for each of the schools and each of the departments. I don't want to make you dizzy, but the winner is
Okay.
there we go. The overall results are option B. We had over 864 votes. 802 votes voted for option B, 38 votes were for option A calendar, and 24 votes were for option C calendar. And I respectfully submit calendar option B for your consideration. And I would like you to just review it over the next 30 days. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me and ask me what those questions are. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And at the next board meeting, in February, the calendar will be an action item, and I will respectfully ask you at the next board meeting to accept calendar option D as the 24-25 instructional calendar for LCPS. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Herring? Any comments? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Herring. As Ms. Herring said, we'll come back next month for board action. Chair recognizes Mr. Nick Harvey to present an update on the process for completing and submitting the facilities grant proposal to replace E.B. Frank Middle School.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. Tonight, I am extremely excited to announce that we have submitted our NCDPI Facility Needs-Based Grant via the Department of Public Instruction. As Mr. Hill indicated earlier, last week, we were granted unanimous support via our Lenore County Commissioners to proceed with our application of $52 million for the new E.B. Frink Middle School project. Applications were due on the 5th of January. As our superintendent indicated, we did submit a day early on the 4th. And we really hope to hear that we were indeed recipients of this grant in late February or early March at the latest. We want to thank you, board members, for your continued support of this endeavor in this phase of the process. We will continue to provide updates to the board as the process continues.
This will be the largest grant that our school system's ever received for anything at any time, so we're really, really excited.
All right, any questions, Mr. Harvey or Mr. Williams?
Is it possible to get a copy of what the commissioners got?
They got what you had at the November meeting.
Which meeting was it?
The November meeting, I believe. Yes, sir. But we'll send it again. Oh, you can email it. Yes, sir.
You do that.
Any other questions for Mr. Harvey or Mr. Williams? Any comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Harvey, thank you, Mr. Williams. Now, I'm going to say this is a long overdue facility needs for the Lenore County Public School System. And I believe that we meet the criteria for this project and we will be awarded this facility grant. Chair recognizes Mrs. Helen Hooker and Mr. Davenport to present the 2022-2023 financial statement and audit report. Whoever wants to chime in first.
Good evening. I realize that you've had quite a lengthy agenda, and I'm going to keep my comments brief, but I certainly have several items to address. So, feel free to ask questions as always. This is a statutory requirement that we appear before the board and present the audit results for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2023. We submitted the report recently and are awaiting Local Government Commission approval, which hopefully will come in the next couple of weeks. Certainly, there were obviously some challenges this year as you lost some key personnel at an inopportune time, which was right in that phase when you were preparing for this audit. So first, I would like to thank Superintendent Williams, Helen Hooker, Interim Finance Officer, Lisa Davis, Retired Finance Officer, and all the finance personnel, the program administrators. It takes a lot of your resources to get us happy enough to issue an unmodified opinion on the audit. So that's a pretty lengthy process, and that is the result of the audit. It's what we call an unmodified opinion. Certainly, there are a few things that I'll point out along the way, but from a financial standpoint, the local funds that you administer, kind of what we'll address more focus. The current expense fund and the other restricted funds are your local operating funds, other than state and federal resources that come through Department of Public Instruction. Those funds did incur losses for this year, more significant in the current expense fund, but you did budget for a loss, so to speak, in that you budgeted some appropriated fund balance, which is resources that you've previously accumulated to balance the budget for those funds during this fiscal year. So a loss was anticipated there. The capital outlay fund had a loss as well, and child nutrition was more or less break even. Now, these funds are all financially sound. The trend is that we've had losses and had a reduction in fund balance over the last few years. However, as I said, these funds are still very financially stable. You really can't get a good handle on, nobody will tell you how much fund balance that you need as a school board. That's up to you as a board to address and, you know, do what you feel is proper for Lenore County schools. Counties and towns and so forth, they do have detailed guidelines, but not for school boards. So overall, it was a good audit. You know, as far as we did, as I mentioned, issue the unmodified opinion. In particular, you know, Ms. Hooker and Ms. Davis were kind of thrown into the fire because they came in after the end of the fiscal year. Ms. Davis had, obviously, and Ms. Hooker had some experience in, you know, dealing with the audit, but they came in and kind of served in roles that they hadn't in a while or hadn't ever. So they were very helpful, and I certainly, again, would like to thank them for that. Overall, I think a key item that I'd like to point out before I move on is the fact that school boards across the country, this one, you know, all across North Carolina, within the next year or two are going to have some real serious budget negotiations because of the fact that these federal COVID resources are ending pretty rapidly in the next couple of fiscal years. That's what we call the ESSER money. It's kind of winding down, and there's a lot of uncertainty in what will replace it, if anything. So, you know, if it's not federal dollars, it's either some other alternative source of funds, state, local, or it's budget cuts. So Superintendent Williams and all those in the decision-making areas are keenly aware of this. We've discussed it, and I know they have some ideas, but it is a challenge. I'd just like to mention that it certainly is a challenge, and I know they are, it's on the forefront of their minds, so it certainly will be an item that will be, you will be dealing with, you know, in the near future. A couple of items from a compliance standpoint. So every year, any entity that has over $750,000 of federal and state awards must have what's called a single audit, and you obviously greatly exceed that amount. So we analyze several programs each year, some of them on a rotating basis, to look at the compliance with the contracts, grants, et cetera, to ensure that Lenore County Schools is expending the money properly in accordance with state and program guidelines. This year we analyzed the child nutrition program, the education stabilization fund, which is that COVID ESSER money that I spoke about, the state public school fund, which is your largest pot of money that comes through DPI, the NC Pre-K program, and the state vocational education program. And I'd like to address 4 items that we reported on the schedule of findings and question costs. And first, I'd like to say, as an auditor, it's our judgment what we include there. The grantor agency is the ultimate decision-making body as to how to handle these matters. They can require the repayment that we may have reported, is due, or they can make another decision. So just because we report something, we're not the ultimate, body of authority here. So we just report to the grantor, which is DPI in all instances here, and they make the ultimate decision. So item number 1, the School Budget and Fiscal Control Act requires that all funds be budgeted. And what we found in the Child Nutrition Fund was that the actual expenditures exceeded the budget by $613,000. So the Child Nutrition Fund is kind of over here and everything else is over there, is the best way I can describe it. There's different accounting personnel and different accounting procedures for this fund in comparison to all the other funds, and it is honestly not unusual to see financial findings in the Child Nutrition Fund like a budget violation. So, and that's not to say these funds were spent inappropriately. They were, by and large, based on our testing, allowable expenditures, just we didn't have room in the budget for them. So what should have happened, we should have had some budget amendments to add to. There was plenty of resources from prior years to appropriate to add additional expenditures into the budget. That just didn't happen. It did for all the other funds. They were within budget, just not in this particular fund. So our recommendation is obviously to ensure that child nutrition budget versus actual statements are monitored just as closely as the other funds. So item number 2 deals with indirect cost. And what we found here was all of your grants are coded by PRCs or program report codes in the various funds. For PRC 176 in the federal funds, we noted that the indirect cost charged to the program exceeded the allowable cost. The Lenore County Schools can charge $1.711 for this past school year as an indirect cost, which is basically a fee to administer the grant, and your local fund, will receive that money once it's charged to the program and received from DPI. Unfortunately, there was a mix-up in coding this money when it came in. It actually was coded to PRC 176, and it should have been 181, which is part of the ESSER money. So it was actually calculated correctly, just put in the wrong place. And since the school year and the books were closed, so to speak, at DPI, that will require a repayment of $37,909. Now, DPI has indicated there's a possibility of going into this current year and basically requesting that money. So hopefully it'll just be a matter of sending it back and then being able to recover that money in 23-24 fiscal year. Item number 3 deals with sales tax refunds. So each fiscal year end, the board can request from the state, North Carolina Department of Revenue, a refund of the local portion of sales tax that you have spent throughout the year. So when you receive those funds, DPI requires that certain funds, which include all of the federal funds, you're required to send back to them, and then they reallocate that money into those PRCs and you can request it again. So it's not just your money per se. They continue to monitor it. So what happened in the fiscal year end, June 30, 23, the school board received 3 refunds for FY 19, 21, and 22. So those the act of reverting that money back to DPI did not happen for those 3 years. So 19 was received in September, I believe, 21 and 22 around November, December of 22. So the revision back to DPI, which did not occur and had not occurred at the time of the audit. So that is reported as a finding. And again, those dollars should revert back to DPI and would be reallocated into those programs again for you to draw back down. And lastly, item number 4 deals with the state bank account. So for the entire year, starting July of 22, there was kind of what we call as an accountant an unreconciled balance of $67,533, whereby there was more money in the state bank account than there was on the books. The state bank account is required to zero out at the end of a year. Whatever's left, the state will kind of take it back. So for whatever reason, the books for the whole year were off by that amount and continued to be off. We did look at it and analyzed it. However, you know, it really, at the end of the day, it was not practical for us to extend our procedures to determine, you know, the ultimate cause of that, because, you know, about $88 million runs through that bank account, and it could have taken 1,000 hours to find that. It's not that, again, it's an accounting issue. I'm confident. We don't know where it's at. Obviously the former finance director realized it was an issue, and I just think could not get it resolved. So it is listed as a finding. I feel like what needs to happen is that money should revert back to DPI. Again, the money's sitting in the account, it's just not on the books. So it was, as I said, it was not practical. We weren't as the auditor able to determine what that discrepancy was, but at the end of the day, I think it just needs to go back to DPI and the books will reconcile, and then they move forward to 23, 24. So that pretty much culminates the financial and compliance review of the audit, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Yes, Mr. Anderson.
You probably addressed this when you first started talking, but can you explain to me what you were saying on page 36 and 37 of this audit?
Okay.
So you're projecting out to 2027?
Okay, so this is, so what you're looking at is that is the retirement health benefit fund. That is, so a few years ago, the rules were changed such that Lenoir County Board now has to recognize their portion of the potential liability for future health benefits that the state plan, you know, maintains. They kind of pushed it down to the local board. So all these are estimates of those potential liabilities. Now, you're funding it by your retirement rate every year as you go. So, you know, it's just an accounting issue. Up to about 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was never presented in your books as a liability. But, you know, not only that, the TSERS retirement system is also, your part is presented as a liability as well. So there's 3 of those. There's the health, the retiree health benefit fund, and the disability income plan as well that are presented.
I guess what my question is, it's $8 million plus in 24. and projected to be 3 million something in '27.
Okay, I see where you're at now. That is information that comes straight from the audit report done by the state of, and that's not the liability per se. That's just how the information on page, that $22 million negative fund, that comes actually from page 40. It's kind of an accumulation of those dollars and how they will shake out in the future as to how they will be amortized. It's really actuarial stuff, honestly, that is taken verbatim from the state audit. You'll never pay that per se, other than through your retirement rate. I hope that's.
I'm just saying.
It's very complicated stuff, to be quite honest with you.
In other words, we won't have to come up with 22,000.
No.
22 million.
What it means is, as your liability grows, your retirement rate is going to grow. That's the bottom line. You'll see an increase in your retirement rate if the actuarial study, indicates that.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Smith, yes, sir.
So if I calculate it right, it looks like that you are recommending that we send back to DPI $189,824.
Okay.
Total.
Yeah, finding 2 indirect costs is about 38,000. The sales tax money is 84, and the cash is 67. So yes, that's pretty accurate.
About right, okay.
Now, 67 of it is not in your local funds, it's just in the state. The other money will have to come from local funds to be the 37 of indirect costs and the 84. That'll come from local bank accounts. But as I stated, you should be able to reallocate some or all of that money in the 23-24 year.
Okay, so the 67 was the bank account, okay?
That's in the state.
State bank.
That will not have any financial impact on you per se.
But the other two would
Could.
have to come from the local.
Yes,
But you said that there's a possibility we could draw that back
that is my understanding.
down to, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Does it look like, I think I read one was a journal entry and the other one was miscoded?
The indirect cost was strictly just a coding issue
Right.
that couldn't be corrected because the year had closed at DPI.
Okay. So had we caught it sooner, we might could have corrected it if you.
Exactly.
The audit had been maybe a little sooner.
Yes.
We could have corrected it. Okay.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Davenport? All right, any more comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Davenport,
Thank
for
you.
your report.
Thank you.
And I guess we need to also thank the entire finance department for all their hard work, so we could get to this point. And even though there are some numbers there, as Mr. Davenport did say, it is a good audit. It is a good audit. All right, Chair now recognizes Mrs. Helen Hooker to present the 2024-2025 budget calendar.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
For your review tonight is the 2024-2025 budget calendar. The calendar establishes a timeline of objectives to ensure the timely preparation and approval of the 2024-2025 Lenoir County Board of Education budget. If you've had a chance to review the calendar and you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them for you.
Any questions for Mrs. Hooker? And this is just strictly a presentation. Doesn't anything has to have any board action. Not any comments? All right, thank you, Mrs. Hooker. Now, Chair recognizes Mrs. Hooker again to present the December 2023 financial report.
Thank you. Again, for your review is the December 2023 financial report. As you're reviewing, please note that the fund balance has decreased significantly from last month, and that is due to our property insurance. It was due in December in the amount of $265,504. And as stated after January, we stated this last month, after January, it is expected to normalize, but of course, we had to pay property insurance in December. The report also summarizes the budget and year-to-date activity for Lenore County Board of Education funds as of December 31st, 2023. Additionally, the report presents the unadjusted local current expense fund balance as of December 31st, 2023. If you reviewed and you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them for you.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Ms. Hooker, you anticipated my question that time, I believe. I appreciate that.
Oh, yes, thank you.
But, so based on the audit report and the money that we have to send back, is that gonna come out of the local fund balance?
Well, the state portion will, of course, that will come from state funds.
Yeah, not that.
But what he's saying about the local, I guess that could come from local, but it depends on what the state says. They may do their adjusting entries and reallocate the money back, so we may not have to send it. He was saying that's a possibility, but we don't know for sure that that's what's gonna happen.
So we need to pray that that happens, that they reallocate it, okay.
Okay, any more questions for Mrs. Hooker? Any more comments? All right, thank you, Mrs. Hooker.
Sir,
And
thank
we'll
you.
now move to the action portion of the agenda. Chair recognizes Mrs. Helen Hooker again to present the budget amendment number 3 for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Thank you. Budget amendment number 3 is being used to revise the working budget of the Lenore County Board of Education to reflect changes that have occurred throughout the fiscal year. And mainly, the amendment reflects additional state allotments that were received in December.
All right, any questions for Mrs. Hooker? All right, thank you, Mrs. Hooker. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to budget amendment number 3?
Move to approve budget amendment number 3.
Motion by Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wood. I have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Wood to approve the budget amendment number 3 for the 2023-2024 fiscal year as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. And Mrs. Hooker, if you will incorporate the budget amendment to the financial records, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So who's going to do this as politics?
Ms. Herring.
Mrs. Herring. Okay, so the chair recognizes Mrs. Herring to present a proposal for the 2023-2024 short summer session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the beginning of the short summer session that we've been so fortunate enough to conduct over the last several years, the data shows that students do benefit, and multiple schools, almost all of our schools, have improved their school performance grade due to the short summer session. I'm requesting that the Lenore County Board of Education approve the Lenore County Public Schools to offer short summer session again this year that will provide additional instruction to students and allow them to reassess their knowledge. We've laid it out here. It'll be June 6th through the 11th for elementary through high school. The dates are different for early college high school because they release sooner than we do. You'll notice those dates there in May. The instructional days will actually be June 6th through the 10th with the re-exam date on June 11th. The day will run from 8 to 12. Breakfast will be served. Instruction will occur by teachers who are certified in those subjects in reading and math. And then lunch, we'll feed the children before we dismiss at 12. Transportation will be provided, but we do ask for your permission to conduct the short summer session so that we may provide a 3-day quick instruction and then an opportunity for students to retest.
Any questions from Mrs. Herring? All right, thank you, Ms. Herring. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to short summer session? Motion by Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. We have a motion by Mr. Anderson, a second by Mr. Smith to approve the 2023-2024 short summer session as presented. Is there any discussion? Not hearing none, chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mrs. Herring, and I guess you'll notify the schools of this action.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, so Chair recognizes Mrs. Frances Herring again to present the proposed early college high school instructional calendar for 2024-2025.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. At the last board meeting, we submitted the early college 24-25 calendar for your review. It is separate from the instructional calendar for Lenore County Public Schools. It follows the community college schedule because the students are there on that campus. I respectfully request that you approve and accept the 24-25 calendar for the early college high school.
Any questions for Mrs. Herring? All right, thank you again, Mrs. Herring. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the early college high school instructional calendar? Motion by Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
By Mrs. Cash. Thank you, Mrs. Cash. We have a motion by Mr. Anderson, and a second by Mrs. Cash to approve the early college high school 2024-2025 instructional calendar as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Herring, and I guess you will notify early college.
I certainly will. Thank you so much.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Nick Harvey to present a summary of the process to complete the selling of Teachers Memorial property.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After 15 rounds of championship bidding, we have a winner in the Teachers Memorial School sale. Attached in board docs, you will find a resolution to approve the final sale via the upset bid process and to approve the resolution authorizing the board chair and our superintendent to execute all documents necessary to sell the property as is for the approved price of $319,000. I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Harvey?
I want to thank, Mr. Chairman, I do want to thank Ms. Jessie Taylor and for all of her efforts during this process. She worked with our media, with Mr. Holmes, to get that message out. She worked with the bidders each 10-day window. So thank you, Jessie, for your hard work.
All right, any more questions or comments from Mr. Harvey? All right, thank you, Mr. Harvey. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the Teachers Memorial property?
Glad to make that motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Anderson, is there a gladly second?
I gladly second.
There's a gladly second. Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Anderson, and a second by Mrs. Cash to approve the final sale via the upset bid process and to approve the resolution authorizing the board chair and superintendent to execute all documents necessary to sell the property as is for the approved price as presented. Is there any more discussion? Thank you. Hearing none, chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand.
Gladly
All
raise my
opposed,
right hand.
like sign. Motion does carry. And Mr. Harvey, I guess you will notify the buyer that he is now the proud owner.
Absolutely.
Teacher Memorial. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
He's close to
Thank
Chair
goodness.
recognizes Mr. Charles White to present a request for E-rate funding.
Good evening. Last month, I presented the winning bid of the Lenore County Category 2 E-rate mini bid process. This project includes three primary areas. First is the replacement of the network infrastructure at Rochelle Middle School and North Lenore High School. The second included the replacement of wireless access points at Rochelle Middle School, Kinston High School, and North Lenore High School. The last part of the project included support licensing on eligible switching equipment. Tonight, I'm requesting your permission to apply for Category 2 federal E-rate funding to cover the primary cost of the project and allow us to move forward with the winning proposals. I'm here to have any questions or answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. White? Okay, thank you, Mr. White. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the E-rate application for funding?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cash. Motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mrs. Cash to approve the Department of Media and Technology to apply for the Category 2 funding through the E-rate federal program and approval of the selected bids if the E-rate application is funded as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. White. And Mr. White, you will
Thank you.
tomorrow apply for those funds, right?
But actually, once we get approved here, we do have to apply on the 17th.
Okay.
And then it takes about 6 to 8 months for the process to go through. We're actually installing equipment that y'all approved last year next week. So it takes that long.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And of course, this is much needed funding that for our technology that will benefit our students and our staff. All right, Mrs. Herring, Chair recognizes Mrs. Herring to present a request for an out-of-state field trip to Woodington Middle School.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. Woodington Middle School is respectfully asking to travel to Busch Gardens on April 12th, returning on April 13th. They will, we've reviewed all of the teachers and chaperones. They'll be taking a charter bus. The charter bus, of course, will be inspected the morning of the trip, like they always are, by our transportation staff. So I respectfully ask that you approve the 8th grade trip to Busch Gardens, Woodington Middle School.
Any questions for Mrs. Herring?
Can we go?
Yeah.
Can you go?
Can we go?
Need more chaperones?
It would be
I'm sure
fun.
they need all the chaperones.
Okay, are there any more questions from you?
Oh, no, just this.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Herring. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the out-of-state field trip request?
I'll make the motion, but I won't go.
All right. Motion by Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
By
You can give it to
Dr.
him.
Okay.
You can give it to him.
Dr. Outlaw Starkey. Motion by Mr. Anderson, second by Dr. Outlaw Starkey to approve the Woodington Middle School out-of-state field trip as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Ms.
Thank
Herring,
you.
please notify Woodington Middle School.
I certainly will.
All right, is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to closed session?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Illinois County Board of Education enter into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel files, to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve attorney-client privilege, and to consider matters relating to the initial employment of an individual employee.
Motion by Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cash. Motion by Mr. Anderson, a second by Mrs. Cash to move to closed session. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. We are now in closed session. Chair recognizes that the North County Board of Education is back in open session. First of all, I need to recuse myself from the personnel recommendations. I have an immediate family member on the personnel report. Is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to the monthly personnel recommendation?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Smith.
move to approve the personnel report with the addendum.
Motion by Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Okay, y'all want to?
She can have it.
Okay, who went first?
It don't matter. She can have it.
Okay, second by Dr. Outlaw Starkey. Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Dr. Outlaw Starkey to approve the monthly personnel recommendations with the addendum as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All in favor, like sign. The motion carries 5-0. All right, Mrs. Heath will notify the employees. Mr. Williams has nothing to say. With no further business to come before the board, is there a recommendation or motion pertaining to adjournment? Motion to adjourn, is there a second? Motion and a second to adjourn the January 8th, 2024 regular monthly board meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. Meeting is adjourned. Please stay safe.